my name is Katharine Hsu, and welcome to the very first podcast episode for All the Right Colors. It is called The Happy School, and this podcast series is something that has been a long time coming for me. I feel like every few months when I meet somebody, I go on a soapbox about something in education, and they're like, Katharine, you really need to start a podcast. And I'm like, I know, I really need to, but it's so intimidating. So I haven't really gotten to it. And here is my first stab at it. This season, we've got a lot of topics ready to go. We've got people that we will be inviting to come and share their expertise, either as a parent, as an educator, as a child specialist. So I'm really excited to bring on these people and get your brain juices going on this idea of the happy school. So I named it the happy school because that's the dream, right? For our children to feel happy when they go to school and that they feel proud of who they are and the school is really happy. But the reality, after teaching in several schools, working with lots of schools, the reality, unfortunately, is that it's not a happy place for every single child. It's a happy place for some kids, but not everyone. And a lot of these kids now come to me at All the Right Colors, trying to, redefine what makes them successful in school and really believing that, like, no, I should and I deserve to be successful in school. I just need a different way of learning, maybe. And they've become really happy. And I just had the other day a student who came to this learning center that I'm sitting in right now, if you're watching this podcast instead of listening to it. And she said, your learning center feels so friendly. I can feel and hear this learning center tell me that you belong. And that is, based on a lot of opinions and a lot of things that I've tried that I strongly believe in, and I would love to share with you. So I'm really excited to actually have a platform now to talk all about the work that I do and what I believe would bring a very happy school for all children. And so this episode, I want to introduce you to the topics that we will be talking about in this season. But also first, I would like to just go straight in and talk about one of the topics that I feel very passionate about. And I would love to kind of pick your brain and see what you think about this. So the word today is smart. How do we define a smart child? What makes a smart child? This word is really interesting to me because we use it all the time. Like, we always tell our kids, like, oh, you're so smart, or, oh, that person is so smart. When I was a kid, I'm a first generation child. So my family immigrated here from Taiwan. And as an Asian American, I was not deemed as smart. And that was very confusing for me because all of my Asian friends were smart, and I felt like it really impacted my confidence, my identity. And I was thinking, and now as I'm older, I realized, like, you know what? I think that smart was defined as who can do math really well, who can take tests really well, memorize facts. And I think that still exists today. Students are really impacted by this word smart. They either feel really great about themselves or they feel horrible about themselves because we are still defining smart as who can do really well on the tests, who can read, who can memorize math facts or history facts, and we see that person as really smart. However, now that I'm no longer in school and I meet all these friends in the real world, I have met brilliant people who are not memorizing facts and taking tests. You know what they're doing? They are inventing things. They are making paintings that are so realistic, you think it's a photograph. They are editing videos, creating commercials, owning their own businesses, having brick and mortars, things that once I started my own business, I realized this takes so much intelligence, starting your own business, like all the things you need to do. And yet we have not measured or asked children to even become this kinds of level of intelligence. We say that you are on AB honor roll if you can complete these worksheets and turn things in on time and do well on tests. That's not what we're measuring now. But yet, how many kids feel like they are not smart because we're measuring perhaps the wrong things? So I have a real problem these days with how we measure smart. And there is this researcher, her name is Karen Arnold. I believe she is a professor at Boston College. And she's done a lot of research on this. And she's even said, academic success in high school does not always directly translate into professional success. Research even shows that what makes students impressive in the classrooms is exactly the same things that make them less likely to be impressive outside of the classroom. Think about that. How crazy is that? So inside the classroom, you could be really great because you can sit in your chair, you can be quiet in the classroom all day, you can complete your worksheets that the teacher tells you to do, you can walk in line in a straight line and do well on these tests. Now, in the real world, if you acted like that, we would assume that you are not a leader, you don't have ideas of your own, and you're a follower. What we want in the real world is we want somebody who can speak up and be a critical thinker, right? And have their own ideas to help our businesses grow and evolve. And that is the opposite of what we celebrate in children in schools. And then to take it another level, there's research where they looked at CEOs and they looked at what was their average GPA when they were in high school. And you would think if you are a CEO of a company and you can run that company and make, all these people be able to know what to do for their jobs and manage everything, you must be really smart, right? Well, the average GPA they found of 20 CEOs, for example, is 2.9 in high school. Do you know what a 2.9 GPA is? That's not an A. That's not even a B. That means that you had some C's and D's in your classes in high school, and yet you were able to become a CEO. Now, how many children do you know that are making C's and D's in schools right now that we think, oh man, they're really going to struggle when they grow up? Instead, we should probably see those kids as, oh, wow, they're going to be the CEOs one day. Now, how unfair is that? How messed up is that? That somebody who is not doing well in school probably thinks that they are not as smart as other kids, might as well be CEO one day of a company and could be the boss of somebody who is getting A's and B's today. That is not okay. Our schools and what we measure should be a very accurate predictor of who will be successful, who will be CEOs, who will be thriving in the workforce, right? It shouldn't be showing the opposite where we don't even know how to predict who's going to be great or not. That's not fair because there's going to be a lot of kids who are getting C's and D's and they may not have any access to people who say, hey, I think you're brilliant. You're going to make it one day. And they end up dropping out, or they end up doing something with their intelligence that is not as thriving as they could be. So I think that this word smart really needs to be redefined. We really need to think about how are we measuring smart and intelligence and what kinds of intelligences we are measuring. I think it's time for us to broaden this definition as a community, as a team. And I don't just mean educators, I mean family members, parents, aunts and uncles, children specialists, like everyone. We really need to broaden this definition of educational success. What does that look like? What does that mean? Can we recognize more talents and intelligences than just being book smart and memorizing things? We want all of our kids to have a fulfilling life, right? And in order to do that, we have to take responsibility of the fact that, you know what, we went to school and we were given this limited definition of smart. And it's time now for us to broaden this so that we can help more children find a fulfilling life because we have found the brilliance of every child and celebrated that in school. I think that's a responsibility of us as grown-ups that we can do for children. And I think that's something that is attainable that we can do together, but we have to start talking about it. So I would love for you to think about this. Do you have a child right now at home that you feel like is really smart? Maybe they're very creative, they're a great problem solver, they can build things, they're very artistic, but right now in school, they feel like they're not good enough. If that's happening, that means that we are not celebrating and measuring their intelligences correctly. So, for example, what does this look like in school if we were to really redefine this, right? It means what we are grading kids on to get A's and B's may not just be what worksheets you complete and what spelling tests you can complete well, but maybe we're actually testing things like problem solving, critical thinking, creativity. Can you make a book that has a really exciting character and tell that story and communicate very well through words or orally? So these are things that we should be maybe changing what we're grading kids on. And that also means who gets on AB honor roll, maybe that changes. Or maybe we change what we're actually testing kids on at the end of the year. Maybe it's no longer these 3-hour-long reading comprehension exams and science exams and social studies exams, but instead we're giving them a problem that they have to create a solution to, or a project that they have to complete, or a presentation that they have to deliver to share, their ideas of what could, be the next answer to a specific problem in the world. I think that we have the ability to change these things. It's just that it's not going to be the easy way solution. Like, we can't find something where we can stick it into a computer and say, hey, tell me all your answers A, B, C, D, and immediately get a data point. I think that our children are so much more important than just getting an easy test grade, that we should actually take time to assess their quality of education through something less than a multiple choice question test. So that's the term, that's the word, SMART. What are you using to define if a child is smart? And who are you making possibly feel less than because of the way we define smart? I think that every child, literally every child, has something so smart about them, something brilliant about them, and they all deserve to see themselves as brilliant. There isn't a child out there that deserves to be seen as a troublemaker, as a bad kid, as a wild kid, as a kid who is struggling in school. They all want to be seen as smart. Kids do not want to naturally be lazy. If they are looking lazy, it's because someone somewhere made them feel like they don't have a chance to be smart. So why try? So that is the phrase that really matters to me. In this podcast season, I want to bring up other phrases, other terminologies, other topics that maybe we could think a little bit outside of the box on and work together as a community to evolve and build a happier school for kids. So that's why I'm really excited to bring on some parents, some community members, some educators, some child specialists, to all let's talk about what are the topics, what are the changes we need. So we're going to start with introducing some topics. Then I'm going to share some changes that could be possible. I'm going to also share a series of episodes of teaching strategies that have worked for me to help work with kids of different learning differences and abilities, and how to make those kids really successful. And then at the end of the season, I would love to question some of the things that are going on in our school system. What are some things that may be a little quote unquote taboo to talk about or controversial to talk about? I want to have a safe and vulnerable conversation about it to discuss with everybody, what are we going to do about these issues? So if you like what you're hearing and you have some ideas of topics you want me to discuss, please reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. My email is also alltherightcolors@gmail.com. And that is right as in when you use a pencil to write. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to be on this podcast, definitely reach out to me so we can definitely have a conversation instead of me staring at a screen and having this monologue. But this was super fun. I'm sure down the road, I will probably listen to this podcast and think like, oh my gosh, it could be so much better. However, I got started, and that's what I need to be proud of. And I'm really excited that you are here on this first episode to be here on this journey. And let's just grow. Let's see what can we do to build a happier school and education system for our kids. Thanks so much, and talk to you guys soon.